when we finally decided that we're going to go through with this process, obviously the first step that you take is finding the right contract. We are hesitant to start with this process because somebody is going to move in tomorrow. So we're so happy, and the person can't wait to move in. Finally, we're here in our ADU, and we just finished. It was a 6-7 months process, which was kind of like what was expected. And fortunately, we had a big backyard, and this was one of the area of the backyard that we didn't utilize much. We pretty much had a swing over here for our kid, but that's about it. So that's how we decided to maybe utilize this, and we're so glad now that we have this wonderful accommodation here, for rental income, which will be really nice to have, but also maybe down the road, we can move in. We really made it just for ourselves, that all the touches, everything that you see, we didn't want to think as a rental. We wanted to think as our own place. And that at the end, I think it is excellent. We love it. Overall, we are hesitant to start with this process because obviously it's a big step. Financial situation, how's it going to work out, and all those questions, kind of like are around your head for a while. But to tell you the truth, we did not rush into this decision. It took us about 3 years, research and talking to other people and watching a lot of HGTV television. So we kind of like had a pretty good idea what we wanted to do by the time that we decided to, do this, go through with this process. Most of all, it would be somebody that will be within our budget. We kind of like had a budget. We know what we're gonna do, and something to fit with our budget. Then second of all, will be somebody that is responsive and is accountable for their work. And so that was very important to us. And with that thinking in mind, we actually went through about 6 contractors that we interviewed. And then kind of Elias, EG Construction, stood out for us, because not only had the right answers, but it made us feel comfortable. And it was sometimes that gut feeling that you have when you talk to somebody that they're not BSing, okay? Because you also we did get some cheaper bits that we could have gone with, but it was sometimes too good to be true. So, and also, as I said, we kind of had a budget. We kind of had an idea what's going to go. So we wanted to not too low, not too high, but kind of like, stay with our budget. And we finally gave Elias a shot. And to this date, I'm not disappointed. Today, we're finally on our ADU, finished. First of all, we can thank Elias and his team enough for what they did. As I said, we trust them the first day, and I trust them again. So I strongly recommend give Elias a shot, okay? And as I said, yes, things gonna come up, but you know that he's going to be responding on time, and things gonna be taken care of the way that you want it. It is constructions. There are going to be hiccups. There are going to be changes. So nothing is perfect, but as I said in the beginning, we just wanted somebody to be responsive. And when those things come up, these guys were on top of it. And that's kind of like a really, really good, from our contractor experience, there was a very good experience for us to have somebody that was accountable for their work. And when some things needed to be changed, they were responsive, very transparent. Communication was top notch. You can talk to them, you can email them. It doesn't really matter. And one thing that actually I was surprised, because they presented us with a schedule, and the schedule, of course, have Saturdays and Sundays off. And those guys been here most of the Saturdays, sometimes Sundays too, but I think pretty much all Saturdays they were working. So that's why I'm really happy to see, and you can see from the ground up to this day. I would say, yes, do your homework. This is not an easy decision. And yes, as I said, it took us 3 years to come to this decision. So yes, we did not pull the trigger first. I woke up one morning and I wanted to build an ADU. No, it's a lot of research. But first of all, you make sure that you got your finances in order. That's very important. Make sure that you got your plants to have the space, and first of all, make sure that there is somebody that also knows how to work with the city. Because that's very important. There might be a lot of hiccups happening there with somebody that doesn't know how your city works. So you take care of that. And then after that, just keep an open communication. You just have to have an open communication. Once you pull the trigger that you want to do it, you want to get somebody that is going to be responsible. So, once you have all those lined up, I think you'll be happy at the end. I mean, yes, sometimes you're going to lose sleep over it. Because it's as I said, this was a 6-7 months process. So, you do wake up sometimes like, is that gonna get done? But at the end, we're happy with the decision. So, thank you.